in 93, your dad was not just, as people were sharing earlier, not just about coaching and teaching. Although he loved to coach, especially his football teams. But there was something much more than that for him. And I saw it every day, working alongside him in the classroom and on the field, and yes, even off the field. What was it that I saw? Someone mentioned it earlier too. A generous heart. He had a big heart for his boys and most recently his grandchildren. Today's gospel is so appropriate for Frank. He would tell me that the many times he would, help students and athletes, whether that was just a recommendation letter for their college, or even putting up someone at his house because they were going through a tough time at home. His house was always open, and I know that some of you are here who can attest to that. I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you gave me clothing. That was Frank. It was his heart that truly defined him. Not the coaching titles, the wins, or the chew, the snuff. Well, maybe the chew. Did I ever tell you, I think Roy mentioned it, did I ever tell you when Frank sprayed all that chew over my right cheek? It was at football practice, right here in the field. And I remember that, I just remembered it. And I was right next to him, and he's right here. He's right here. No boundaries with him. I mean, it's like, right here. I mean, you think if I was deaf. And he was just feeling great. Had his arm around me and said, Father Richard, this is just great. I just love this. I love this. I mean, he was just enthralled. I mean, football just like an IV to him. And during all that time, he was saying, I just love this game. I love being out here with the boys. All in the meantime, just getting sprayed. And I said to him, yeah, Frank, it is great, but the chew on my cheek isn't. Did that faze it? No. He just kept talking. So I said, all right, well, I'll just clean up after practice. He was just so happy. I remember those moments. And he had the biggest smile because he was just enjoying what he loved the best. And that's the story that I'll take back for me. Frank personified what the Oblates personified. He truly lived our charism, which was helping the youth and disadvantaged. That's what we as missionary Oblates are about. The school was founded here as a seminary at first, where young men would study for the priesthood and become priests. And then it kind of transitioned into a high school. And our founder, St. Eugene de Mazenod, specified, or our mission would be, to help the poor, the abandoned, the marginalized, and the youth. And so this is what we believed in. And yes, we had to give up the school, unfortunately, as we know, less and less priests or less and less people are becoming priests. Couldn't hold on to the school. But nevertheless, he believed in our mission. Because that's what we were about. And I'm sure that when Frank applied for this position, that's one of the things that was asked of him. This is the Oblate charism. Can you live it? Can you teach it? And he lived and taught every moment of it. He was an oblate. He was definitely an oblate at heart. And this is why he loved his job. And I would say, dare say, this is why he loved his ministry. Being here. He loved what the Oblates believed in, and he believed in what we were all about here at St. Anthony's. It's no surprise to me that this is where he wanted to complete his life. Here in this chapel, near the fields that he coached from. This was in essence, his second home. If you ask Pam would say, no, this was his home. No, this was his second home. Frank called me 2 days before his departure from his life. He sounded great. He really did. I couldn't sense that. I knew he was sick, of course, and I had anointed him months before. But, we were to get together with his sons to speak about his funeral. He wanted to talk about his funeral and telling me that there was going to be 2,000 people at his funeral. Whatever you say, Frank. He said, Rich, we can't have the grocery and the funeral on the same day. I mean, there might be too many people. And I know that there was a lot of people yesterday, and he was right. There would be a lot of people. So do you think we should separate it? And I says, it's up to you. Yeah, if you want to separate it, we'll separate the two ceremonies. And so he says, okay, well, I want to get together with my sons, and we'll speak about the funeral, and just asking my advice on how you wanted to do this. And he told me, Matthew, you were out of the state at the time, and he was letting me know. And he said, well, Matthew's going to be coming into town, and when he comes into town, it's okay. When he comes in, we'll get together. Then 2 days later, he passed. He sounded good, but in the end, he knew deep down that his time was coming. And he had told me that he wasn't afraid anymore. See, in the beginning, when all this began, after Pam passed away, he would share with me that he was afraid. He was afraid of dying. Yet, as he journeyed, and his faith assured him more and more that it would be okay. And to quote the second reading, for I am already being poured out like a libation, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have competed well. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. You have indeed, Frank. You did keep the faith. And as an athlete, as a coach, he knew that this race would come to an end. As all athletes and coaches know that competition does not last forever. As a coach, he knew this, and as a man of faith, he knew this. And although, like any of us, we don't always compete well, nevertheless, he gave it his all, and he kept the faith, even when it was being challenged, when Pam was struggling for her life. And it was his faith that kept him going and fighting this sickness. And although he succumbed to it, he didn't lose. He didn't lose. He gained the crown of righteousness that he now wears in glory with Christ. I mean, isn't that all what athletes are about? If you're an athlete, you want that prize, you want that trophy, you want that title. Well, as Christians and as Catholics, that's what we want. And Frank gained that. That's the ultimate award that can be given to a coach, is the crown of glory that we all strive for. No more torment, no more pain, or chemo. Touches our dear brother Frank. For he is at peace now. God has tested him and found him worthy of himself, like gold tested in furnace. He's gone from us, but our memories will keep him alive in our hearts. Well, we will share those stories, cry and laugh. For those of us who have faith, we will be reunited again. For Christ tells us, all who believe in him will have eternal life. For this I am certain. Brady, Corey, Garrett, Matt, your dad believed in this. Until we meet again, dear friend, in that football field in heaven with some snuff. Rest in peace. And you know what? He's probably already forming a team upstairs.